In this video, we're gonna cover two powerful ways to use exit code in Bash and show some real-world examples that most new Bash programmers are searching for. These will help you write robust scripts by examining commands results. Hey, it's Neilin here from Stack Setup, where I help you learn the technology stacks more efficiently with online video. If you're new here, make sure you click that subscribe button. And if you're seeing value in this video, give me a thumbs up as well. It really makes a huge difference. You can find all the links to everything I mentioned in this video in the description box below. Let's jump into it. Okay, I'll explain why we need to care about exit codes. When will we get one, and what can we do with that? The next step is the syntax, where I'll show you how to get the exit code and the operators to work with it. Finally, of course, are examples. You'll see some usual ways of using exit code to enhance your control flow. So let's get started. The first section is, why do we care about exit codes? Sometimes when we run a command, we may want to know its execution result and take different actions depending on that result. For example, the command makedir can help us create a new directory, but how do we know it's successful or not? Since errors sometimes happen, like permission issues, or already have the same name file or directory, etc. So if we can tell the creation result, we can go on when everything's okay or do cleanup when something goes wrong. Bash holds a value called exit code every time you invoke a command. 0 means successful, otherwise means failed. However, Bash will not show it to you on the screen. That would be annoying most of the time. Instead, Bash saves it into a particular parameter for us to access when we want to. We'll see it soon. Next, let's see how we use the exit code. There are two ways here, explicit and implicit. The explicit way is to check this special parameter, $, and a question mark, after calling a command. Another way, the implicit one, is by chaining command with double AND or double OR operators. Let's first see the explicit way. Say we want to check the existence of specific files. For example, we have a dummy file 1.txt here, and we use the test command to check if this file exists. How do we know the result? By echoing the parameter $, and question mark, we can see a 0, which means our checking is successful. What if we test a non-exist file? This time we type 2.txt instead and echo that special parameter again. Okay, we got 1, which means failed, not exist. A common mistake that new programmers make is accidentally overwriting the exit code. Let me test the 2.txt file again and use the echo command to print the code, which is 1 as we expected, but what will happen if I call it a second time? This time we got 0. Why? Remember, the echo is also a command, so Bash put a new value in the exit code after running the first echo command. And it was always a success. That's why the second time we got 0. The solution is to save the code in a variable, say exist. Then no matter how many other commands are executed, we won't lose the original value. Next comes the implicit way. Bash provides two operators, double AND and double OR, for us to chain commands together in a single line. The command right after the double AND operator will execute when the previous one is successful, and the command right after the double OR operator will get executed when the previous one is failed. Let's see a mini example. Assume every time we run the script, we'll make some log files like sim.log for debugging, and we don't want to mess them up with last time results, so we need to do the cleanup if they exist. Here's how we do that. First, we write down the command to test the file existence. And the double AND operator. Then add another command to delete the log file. That rm command will get executed only if that file exists. Since it is here, it has been deleted, of course. Okay, let's see some real examples. As I mentioned before, we can take either explicit or implicit ways. I'll show you each of them by these two categories. All the example files shown here can be found on my GitHub repository. You can find the link in the description box below. The first example I want to show you is the explicit way. Say we want to find whether a given user has been created or not. So we'll check out the /etc/password file. Let's cat its content first. Ooh, are lots of entries here. Since we only need the username, we use the awk program to get the first field. Then we use the grep program to find the user. Let's try to find Neil first. Got it. And the exit code is 0. Great. However, sometimes there might be some similar names there. So, for example, we grep W will get 2 entries this time, not precisely what we want. So we write a simple regular expression to match the whole string. If we grep W again, this time we got code 1 because there's no such user in this file. We can only get code 0 again when we type the correct name, such as UUCP. And we actually don't need the output, so we redirect it to the Unix black hole /dev/null. Now, the next step, as I suggested before, we could save the exit code to a variable like found. Then we can test that code in an if statement. If it's 0, we can tell the user we found that name, or show some errors if it's non-zero. In the last video, we made a script like this. It can allow us to turn on a flag to show useful debug information. In the if statement, we use echo to print out the current index of the loop to know the work in progress. Though in the body of that if statement, it has just one line of code. Is there any quick way to do this? Yes, and that's where the implicit way comes into play. So let's comment out the original if block. And run the test command again. Then use the double-and operator to chain the echo command. Isn't it neater? But I recommend using this form only with very short commands, or your code will be harder to read. We've just seen an example using the test command to chain commands. We can do the same thing with typical commands. Now take a look at these log files. What I have are the results of calling HTTP APIs. The upper part of each file is the request information, and the lower part is the response data from the server. What we want to do here is to collect the response time for further processing. So we can write this grep command to do that. So okay, we got those lines from the files. But what about when there are no log files in this directory? Let's try in an empty directory. Oops, it complains no such file or directory. We better write another line to find out whether there is any log file here. A simple ls command is enough for this case. So we put the ls command as the first command, then again use double-and to chain the second one, our grep command. Then it will be executed only if the ls success. The last example I'll show you is a pass-fail checker. It searches the failed string from a log file, and whether it's found or not, this script will show a message for each case. That means not all the commands will be executed. Can we join these commands like the previous example? Yes, and this time we'll use the double OR operator to do that. First, we write down the grep command. Then the double AND operator, the failed message, the double OR operator, finally the pass message. This way, when the grep command finds an error, the second command will get executed. Otherwise, the third one will get executed. And again, use this form wisely. Complicated codes bring more bugs. Okay, let's review what we have learned today. I'm sure that now you know when and why we will need the exit code. It gets updated every time you run a command, although you have to get it explicitly. When its value is 0, the previous command is successful. Others mean failed. And when you know the last command execution result, you can take different actions depending on that value. There are two ways to use the exit code, explicit and implicit. By accessing the particular parameter, this is the explicit way, we can then write a conditional statement to handle that. While by using double AND and double OR operators, we can chain commands together without needing to have if and else blocks. Then, I show some examples for you to get this idea, by both ways. Hope these can help you write more robust codes. Do you feel that you got a lot of value out of this video? If so, what did you get out of it? Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Now, if you're interested in checking out more tips as well, then I put together a PDF guide that is linked in the description box below. This runs through the most common questions that can help you save time on debugging and spend more time creating values. Make sure you're grabbing your free copy of my guide, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy stacking!